Most men hear this question and answer it without thinking. A woman asks something simple, you respond politely, and the moment passes. But what most men don't realize is that sometimes that question wasn't just conversation, it was flirting. And if you missed it, you're not alone. Because the truth is, most women don't say, "I like you," directly, especially as they get older. Instead, they test the waters quietly. They ask small questions that seem innocent on the surface but actually carry a deeper meaning. These questions are signals, and according to relationship experts, nearly 97% of men fail to recognize them in the moment. So they answer casually and move on, never realizing that the opportunity was right there. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll start noticing these signals everywhere. And once you see them, you'll never miss them again. Here's something that surprises a lot of men. Women rarely express interest through obvious statements. Instead, they communicate through curiosity, through attention, through questions that reveal what they really want to know about you. Today, we're going to look at 5 specific things women ask when they're secretly attracted to you. These aren't random guesses. They're patterns psychologists often see in real social interactions. And the 5th one is particularly powerful, because when a woman asks it, she's already emotionally invested in the conversation. Let's start with the first signal. One of the most common signals women use sounds incredibly innocent. It's what I call the weekend question. She might casually ask, "So what are you doing this weekend?" Or, "Do you have anything planned for Saturday?" On the surface, it sounds like small talk, but psychologically, she's doing something very specific. She's looking for an opening. When a woman asks about your plans, she's often trying to understand if there's space in your life for her. Picture this scenario. You're talking with a woman at a social event or a gathering with friends. The conversation is light, relaxed. Then she suddenly asks, "So, are you doing anything fun this weekend?" You shrug and say, "Not really, probably just staying home." She smiles and nods, and the conversation moves on. But what just happened there was subtle. She was testing the waters to see if you might suggest doing something together. Most men miss this moment completely because the question sounds ordinary. But when a woman asks about your time, she's often wondering whether she might become part of it. The second signal usually appears during a deeper conversation. This is what I call the relationship question. She might ask something like, "Do you think people can still find love later in life?" Or, "What do you think makes a relationship actually work?" At first, it might sound philosophical. But in psychology, this type of question is sometimes called a values probe. She's trying to understand how you think about love, commitment, and emotional connection. Imagine you're sitting with a woman over coffee, and the conversation becomes more personal. She leans forward slightly and asks, "Do you ever think about what you really want in a relationship at this stage of your life?" That question isn't random. She's trying to see if your emotional outlook matches hers. Many men get uncomfortable here and give a short answer just to move past the topic. But that's usually the moment she was hoping for a real conversation. When a woman asks about relationships, she may be quietly trying to understand whether the two of you could be compatible. The third signal is one that almost no man notices because it seems completely harmless. It's when she asks you to explain something to her. She might say, "I've never really understood that. Can you explain it?" Or, "How does that work?" Now, she may already know the answer. The point isn't the information. The point is the interaction. Psychologists sometimes call this motivated engagement. It's when someone creates a reason to keep a conversation going because they enjoy the connection. Imagine you mention something you've been learning about, maybe history, technology, travel, or investing. Suddenly she lights up and says, "Wait, explain that to me. I've always been curious about that." She could easily look it up later, but instead she wants to hear you explain it. Why? Because the real goal is spending more time in conversation with you. When this happens, don't rush through the explanation. Slow down, share your thoughts, and enjoy the moment of connection she's inviting. The fourth signal is much more personal. I call it the past question. She might start asking things like, "Where did you grow up?" Or, "What were you like when you were younger?" Or, "Have you always been this way?" These questions go beyond casual conversation. They're about understanding who you are at a deeper level. Psychologists often refer to this as narrative intimacy, the process of building emotional closeness through personal stories. Imagine you're sitting across from her at dinner and the conversation is flowing naturally. Suddenly she asks, "So, what were you actually like in your 20s?" She's leaning in slightly, genuinely interested. At that moment, she's trying to see the person behind the surface. She wants to know what shaped you, what you've experienced, and how you became the person sitting in front of her today. When a woman asks about your past like that, she's often trying to build emotional connection. And emotional connection is one of the strongest foundations of attraction. The fifth signal is the one almost no man recognizes in the moment. It's what I call the happiness question. A woman might look at you quietly and ask something like, "Are you happy? I mean, truly happy with where your life is right now?" This question carries emotional weight. When someone asks it sincerely, they're thinking about more than conversation. They're wondering about your heart. Imagine you've known her for a while and you're talking one evening. The conversation slows down and she suddenly asks, "Do you ever feel like something's missing? Like you want more out of life?" She's not talking about work or hobbies. She's asking about something deeper. When a woman asks this question, it often means she's already emotionally invested in the connection. She's trying to understand whether there might be room in your life and in your heart for something meaningful. Here's the truth most men never learn. Women rarely say, "I like you," directly. Instead, they communicate through curiosity, through attention, through questions that slowly reveal their interest. When she asks about your weekend, your views on relationships, your past, or your happiness, she may be doing more than making conversation. She may be reaching out, hoping you'll notice the signal. The men who understand this don't need complicated strategies. They simply pay attention. They recognize the moment when a simple question becomes an invitation to connect. So the next time a woman asks you something that feels a little deeper than normal small talk, pause for a moment before brushing it off. She might not just be asking a question, she might be opening a door. If this gave you a new way of understanding the conversations happening around you, consider liking the video. It helps more people discover the channel. And if you want to keep learning about the hidden psychology behind attraction, connection, and human behavior, subscribe and join us here. Every week we explore the signals people send without even realizing it, the ones that can completely change how you see relationships. I'll see you in the next video.